A Tale of Two Cities, by Charles Dickens, is a captivating historical novel set against the backdrop of the French Revolution. The story unfolds in 3 books, and in this video, we will provide a synopsis of Book 1. In the early 50s of the 18th century, England and France were in a state of chaos, as exploitation of manners, poverty, robberies etc. were rampant, flourishing or spreading unchecked. Dr. Alexander Manette, an honest doctor, was happily married to an English woman. They lived in Paris and were looked after by a reliable servant, Ernest Defarge. In 1757, Dr. Manette was compelled to attend to a peasant girl, who had been ravished in the presence of her husband, father, brother and sister by Marquis de Saint-Yvemont and his brother. Her husband and brother could do nothing for the girl. They were killed by Yvemont. As she lay in agony, extreme physical or mental suffering, the Yvemont brothers compelled Dr. Manette to attend to her. He was shocked by the brutality and atrocities of the Yvemont brothers, as related by the girl's dying brother. However, he could neither save the girl, nor her brother who had been fatally wounded in his attempt to rescue his sister. Her father, too, had died of grief. The shocked doctor refused any money and his conscience was plagued by his knowledge of the ghastly atrocities. Wanting to unburden his heart, he wrote about this to the Minister of State, even though he knew that it would be futile. As he was writing, the wife of the Marquis came to him, along with her son, Charles. As she was appalled, greatly dismayed or horrified, by her husband's deeds and felt for the poor girl. She wished to atone for her family's dishonorable act, by helping the younger sister of the dead girl. Since he could give her no information, she went away in grief. He added Yvemont's name in his letter as the name had now been confirmed to him by the wife. The letter reached the hands of the 2 brothers and they caught him, burnt the letter and committed him to the Bastille, where he was confined to stay for 18 years. Neither did his wife know where he was, nor could he get any information about her. As a champion of truth, he had to spend 18 miserable years as prisoner number 105 of the North Tower. In desperation, he learnt how to make shoes and that was how he spent his time in prison. His agency was so great that he secretly wrote about the circumstances of his arrest. He hid these scraps of paper in the hope that one day the truth would be exposed and the Yvemont family would be punished for making an innocent man rot in prison. The letter was finally discovered years after his release and used by the revolutionaries. Meanwhile, Dr. Manette's wife tried to trace him, but in vain. She died of frustration and grief and Jarvis Lorry, an employee at Tellson's Bank, was given the responsibility of taking her 2-year-old daughter, Lucy, to England. He left her in charge of the responsible Miss Pross, who devoted her life to the orphan child. Therese, the orphan sister of the poor peasant girl, Madame Defarge, who had died, was also left alone. She was also cared for and by chance married to Ernest Defarge, once a servant of Dr. Manette. Though she was not aware of the names of the persons responsible for bringing the tragedy in her family, she was intelligent and from an early age she started noting down names of aristocrats who were enemies of the people. She was the brain behind the revolution and most of the major characters used to meet at their wine shop for some reason or the other. In the shop, they make plans to crush those who had oppressed the masses for centuries. The revolutionaries they recruited were known as Jacques, a symbol of vengeance. Madame Defarge was motivated by her personal hatred of the aristocrats, and not by any noble idea of revolution and glory for the country. Defarge, who had served with Dr. Manette as a boy, managed to rescue the doctor from the Bastille after 18 years. Though he had a soft corner for the doctor, he used him for revolutionary purposes. He showed the demented and shriveled, wrinkled and contracted, especially due to loss of moisture or old age, doctor to the jag, so that their revolutionary instincts would be aroused by this vision of a man butchered by the brutal aristocrats. In the meantime, Jarvis Lorry and Lucy reached Paris to take Dr. Manette back to England. They met Defarge, who took them to Dr. Manette's room. After a sentimental reunion, in which neither of them recognized each other, they went to England, where Lucy restored him to life and happiness.